Next up, we've got Babu from Orikan. It says here, mate, which I haven't turned on, but I already had the joke going, that you're the Chief in Information and Technology. Well, what's the difference?
Internal and external IT, there you go.
There you go, very good. Obviously, I think the UbiPark Orikan relationship over the last 12 months is grown. It's culminated with a very nice project in the US that we're rolling out. Hopefully, Jesse, is that going live December 1?
That is the plan, yeah.
Yep, very good. We see some really good strengths in our partnership with Orikan. Babu, do you want to come up and give us a bit of a rundown of the world of Orikan?
Yeah, thank you. So thanks, Mostyn and the Ubi team to have myself here and also later this afternoon, Peter, who's our CEO as well. So a little bit of background. So Orikan, for those who don't know us, we're 3 years, just under 3 years as a brand, but we're the bringing together of a number of businesses, each about 2 decades plus in the industry. So it's the bringing together of the old DCA business, which did a whole bunch of work and technology and services. It was just predominantly focused around digital solutions. The GPS business, which is based out of New Zealand, and they had and continue to have parking meters, and the Tenix business, which provided back office servicing and software for infringement lifecycle management. So it was the carve out of these businesses and the bringing together of these businesses that brought Orikan, and subsequently more acquisitions that meant that we've also got a foothold in US, and that's also part of our growth as well. With bringing together these businesses, what we provide is end-to-end technology and services in the parking domain. So anywhere from citizen-facing payment applications, permit solutions, to physical meters that are on the street, virtual meters that blend between what you see on the street and how you can pay digitally, to lifecycle and case management throughout. We also invest a fair bit in camera technology to support our growing enforcement capability. And outside of technology, we actually have enforcement officers. We've got 100+ officers that wear the badge of councils and provide enforcement services and ticketing services, and we run a BPO and call center. So we're uniquely placed between hardware, software, back office services, and enforcement capability. And being uniquely placed allows us to be able to kind of transcend technology and across these different kind of methods. So today we'll talk a little bit about AI and connected enforcement. So we're in 2025 when the topic of conversation obviously is about AI. So I'll continue to add to that topic today. I'll probably just start off by just playing a short video. Should have some sound if everything works correctly with the tech, and that probably explains a little bit better about who we are.
Parking Ecosystem by Orikan. Parking is a small part of the day, but plays a big role in how our communities function and flow. At Orikan, we're all about making parking easy for you, your community, and for your city. Before leaving, drivers can search availability in the PayStay app to find the perfect parking spot based on time, cost, and location. When a spot is selected, PayStay guides them with their phone's mapping system. Once parked, users can choose from PayStay, PayStay Guest, Touch and Go, or simply use a physical parking meter. No more dashing back to the meter. With Orikan's Extend My Park technology, users can be notified to extend their parking digitally, saving time and avoiding fines. Residents can apply for digital permits through our self-service portal, easing admin for operators and simplifying life for locals. We're here to support parking operators with a full suite of end-to-end solutions, making parking management easier, more efficient, and less complicated. Pinforce Mobile allows officers to issue notices instantly and accurately in the field. For accuracy, the in-ground sensors detect the entry and exit of vehicles. Pinforce LPRX detects violations fast, scanning up to 2,000 vehicles per hour. Multimodal enforcement allows issuance in the field or by print and post. With Pinforce LPR Remote, vehicles are detected instantly on arrival using advanced license plate recognition. No boom gates, tickets, or access passes required. It's parking made completely gateless. All the on-ground enforcement information can be viewed by the parking operators sitting in the office for maximising enforcement efficiency. Once an infringement has occurred, IMAS end-to-end infringement management supports the full infringement lifecycle, from notices and reminders to appeals and payments. Back at the office, EasyComm Integrated Central Management System ensures every piece of data flows in. With EasyComm 360, parking operators can see the bigger picture and the finer details. Our connected dashboard offers powerful insights from across your entire parking ecosystem, powering better parking for people and places. Orikan, for a smarter future.
So as you can see there, we cover a fairly large ground in the technology and services. We were the first to market with our virtual meter, and we launched that a little over 12 months ago. And for those who haven't seen that device, there's now a number of councils that have got it. And what it is, it's a housing that contains different methods that allow you to pay, which is not a meter. So it's a gateway for digital payment, but it's not a meter, right? It looks like a meter, smells like a meter, but it's not. And what it allows us to do is, as instinctively, and I'm one of those, I'm digitally native, but whenever I see a meter, I'm going to walk towards that meter, even though I've got every phone app under the sun. And that's the trend, and the data tells us that almost 50% of citizens go to a meter even when there's pay by phone made available in a location. So, what we decided was, well, if that's the trend, then we should build a device, again, because we struggle between hardware and software, should build a device that looks like a meter. So the instinctive nature is to walk towards that device. But that device is actually an entry point and a gateway into a digital payment, opening up our application. So we're the first to market to that, and that's been a huge success for us. We're also invested very heavily in rebuilding and re-architecting all of our products over the last 12 months and 18 months to move them into the cloud. And we did this very specifically. We did it because we realized that the amount of data and information that's getting transferred between our systems inside the ecosystem was vast. And to be able to then manage that kind of data in real time securely, the only way to do that is to have it running in cloud. So a big investment in cloud technology and a big investment in creating an integrated ecosystem. So there's an element of Apple that we were starting to channel as we start to build this capability, right? My AirPods just seamlessly work with my phone, as does my Apple Watch. Now I've also got a separate headphone, which is not in the Apple ecosystem. That also works and it connects, but it's not as smooth. Right? It doesn't allow me to integrate with Siri as I'd like it to. It doesn't connect and tell me when my phone calls are coming through as seamlessly. And that's the vision that we had, is that seamless integration should also occur in a parking environment, and that's what we provide start to finish. So a big investment in developing that ecosystem. And by investing in that ecosystem, we can then able to tap into other capabilities, allowing us to use AI across our tech. I'll talk a little bit about that today. So we've invested a fair bit and started to really go into this AI journey. Right? As a business, we've got now AI supporting us and helping our corporate functions, our back office functions, and our call center functions, with efficiency gains through AI. For my own business unit, and I run all of tech and product. We've basically got all of our developers using AI as part of their development capability. We've got all of our quality assurance now integrated directly using AI toolsets. We've seen significant gains already using AI in the way in which we work. But beyond using AI in the corporate and in the building of functions, we've already started to put AI into our product. So we've gone beyond just the hype, and we're starting to put it into our tool sets. So about 12 months ago, and we work very closely with our customers. We very regularly get into workshops and co-design to understand their problems and how we can collaborate on solving their problems within our ecosystem. So about 12 months ago, City of Adelaide, which is one of our customers, came around and we were running one of these regular co-design workshops. And in between, over coffee break, the program manager's like, "Oh, we got this problem. You probably can't solve it, but let me just explain it." And we're just like, "Okay, tell us about that." And he was like, "Would you believe the number of people that pay at a parking machine that enter their license plate incorrectly? How many of those we have? And we can't do anything about it. They either fat-fingered it, or they thought their plate was something and it wasn't. They've done the right thing. They've paid for parking, but they paid for the wrong vehicle. We end up issuing them a ticket, and then there's this entire pain of them calling, us identifying, us either continuing to confirm that you haven't paid correctly, or going through a refund process. And the volumes are through the roof. That's surprising. I thought, well, how frequent is that? And is that specific to just Adelaide? The data tells us that it's everywhere, and the percentage of people that pay legitimately but incorrectly was through the roof. And so this was our first opportunity to really build AI into our products. And we built a capability called predictive search in our Pinforce tool. So Pinforce, if you've ever got a parking ticket in Australia, 80% likely that it came from Pinforce. So 80% of councils in Australia run enforcement on Pinforce, which is the ticket issuing tool. So we ended up building AI directly into Pinforce. Now, what it does is, through our connected ecosystem, we're able to identify a valid payment, either through our meters, through PayStay, our pay by phone app, or if you've got a digital permit through our platform. We're able to bring all of that information together and check on Pinforce. But we go beyond that, and through AI, we also identify if that vehicle hasn't got a payment, but other similar vehicles or similar plates have got a payment in a localized area. We do that level of checking through AI and then use machine learning to calibrate that and then bring that back up to the enforcement officer. What that means is that at that point, the enforcement officer can have a look and realize, well, ABC 123 doesn't have a payment against it, but ABC I23 does, or CCB I23, or various permutations of that, and it's doing that through an AI machine learned interface. and then popping that up directly to the enforcement officer. And that enforcement officer is making that decision right there. You know what? Actually, I think that person just made a mistake, and I can swipe off that paper. What does that mean? It means that entire pain of issuing a ticket, citizen finding they've paid for something, they got charged, citizen making a telephone call, back office administration accepting it, management having a look, approving it, refund processes, all of that gone because that's all stopped at that first interface right there. So we've integrated AI into Pinforce, looking at our movers, looking at pay state, and looking across permits and integrating that entire ecosystem. So that we've got this connected enforcement using AI as a tool. So our customers are typically councils, off-street parking providers, hospitals, universities. So that's the area that we play, knowing that our end consumer is obviously citizen, either through pay by phone or a meter or permits. But our customers are these institutes, and across these institutes, they run various different technology to provide enforcement. Whether it's enforcement officers walking around on the street with their chalk, fixed cameras that are pointing at vehicles, surveying bays, or mobile cameras. Now we provide all of those services, so everything across the products to be used by enforcement officers, fixed cameras, entry and exit cameras, and mobile enforcement. And it got us thinking, by having all of these capabilities, how do we best allow all of these things to talk to each other and take the guesswork out of enforcement? And so we came up with multimodal. Multimodal enforcement stitches all of this technology together. And what it means is, in one use case could be an enforcement officer in a vehicle with a license plate recognition LPR tool is driving around. Now that's probably the most efficient way of detection. Driving around at 60 kilometers per hour, LPR tool pointing directly at plates, identifying in real time if a vehicle has overstayed, if that vehicle's got a payment against it, either using meters or PayStay or third-party payment providers, or if it's got a permit against it. So it's real-time checking and validating and identifying if a vehicle is in violation or not. Through multimodal, we've then stitched that experience of that vehicle driving at 60 kilometers and the efficiency that gains directly to the enforcement officers that are then walking around the street. So the enforcement officer, as they're walking, they can now see vehicles that are in violation as picked up by a car that's also been driving around with LPR regs. What does that mean? It means that I'm now taking all the guesswork out. In the past, I'm walking around and still do with a piece of chalk, we're marking tires. We're in 2025 and we're marking tires. That's no longer the case. The vehicle can do all of that work, and it now goes to an officer on the street. That same information can actually go back to an entire workforce in back office and headquarters, and they can then issue a ticket remotely if they're doing a print and post after. But it's not stopped there. We're able to use that same technology with our phone, and as an officer is able to do, walks around with Pinforce on their handheld, and they've got Pinforce on, all they have to do is just walk. The camera detects the vehicle, object recognizes, it detects the plate, understands that, interprets it, stores it, so that when an officer then comes back, or a secondary officer or a vehicle drives past, all of that information is then stitched together. So then we're taking all of that guesswork out, and I liken this to Pac-Man, right? All you're doing now is, as an enforcement officer, is just following those dots. So the benefits are for us that we see is tremendous, and because we've got our own officers that do enforcement, we've got real-world feedback around the efficiency gains that this creates. Like now, you can rethink how you do enforcement. You're no longer bound to the same routes or your believed routes. Now you've got the vehicle that's giving you all of that information, and we've also got fixed cameras that's also feeding into all of this as well, so you can just follow where the information is telling you. So we thought we'd give AI the toughest challenge known to man. Interpreting sign plates. There are some gnarly sign plates out there that say it's Monday to Friday at this time, it's 2 hours, it's this much on a Saturday, and that much on a weekend, and it's no standing or it's a loading bay. Every permutation that can be found on a parking sign is available. And so we thought, well, let's put this to the test. So we have built an AI and machine learning algorithm, and we've built that into our license plate detection technology. We're able to detect sign plates and in real time understand it, interpret it, and put it back into our ecosystem. For us, this is a true test, and it just shows how far AI and build machine learning has come through. So how does this help? So this basically means that the ability to be able to create and identify where your parking zones are, that's all done very simply now, and it's just plug in your camera and off you go. It also means that this information can be used for all sorts of other purposes. There is a sign in front of my house, which is a no standing sign, and it's on an angle, right? You can now object detect that, identify that this is not standing upright, and then you use that to asset manage, right? And imagine that across all of the network. We can also use this to then provide some capability for citizens. I struggle, and I'm in the industry of interpreting signs. I'll be there for 5 minutes. What does this mean? Park there or not? Well, imagine if I had that information directly plugged into my pay-by-phone, and it tells me, well, at this time, that means this for me, right? And we're able to achieve that because AI is providing that information plugged directly into our solution. So as I mentioned, Pinforce is, I guess, the dominant enforcement solution in Australia. It's basically used also down in New Zealand. And the current version of our Pinforce is a very traditional user experience model, right? It's a workflow, right? An officer's got their device, and this is how they kind of follow a certain bunch of steps to capture information, upload it, issue out a ticket. We're in the process of redesigning Pinforce in the future. As we look forward, and we see that whole interface of the human to the phone is no longer bound by a traditional workflow capability, right? Natural language, voice recognition, GPS, camera tech, all of that stitches that information together. So the interface, the relationship that the enforcement officer has is no longer a traditional click, 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 right? It's, I'm in this location, here's a photo that I've just taken. It's triangulated information. It's understood, and it's directly issued on the ticket. Now that'll take the time to issue a ticket down drastically, and officer safety is top of mind for us, right? And so the quicker an officer can issue out a ticket, obviously, the better. So this is Pinforce 9, not far away in the future, using AI, the large language models and the like to inform. So as we start to build products with AI, we're starting to reimagine what enforcement looks like, what the citizen experience looks like. with our products in mind. We've got this now ecosystem that talks to each other in real time, highly secured method using the latest advancements in cloud technology. And we're using AI and machine learning built inside Pinforce and built inside of our PayState products. There's an opportunity for providers and councils to reimagine again how they operate. Like I said, if the traditional method is to send officers in enforcement in known paths, you're no longer bound by that. You can have officers now sitting all in a car. The car does all the work, deploy those officers out, ticket, put them back into the car, move to the next. Imagine a clown car with multiple people in there and then jumping out, coming back in. That's what we're seeing is how we can maximize efficiency. So it's a great opportunity to rethink. So I'll probably stop there. There's a lot more that we're doing in and around our product, in and around building AI into our product sets. And it's an exciting space to be. We're seeing AI infused in our products across the board, and it's definitely an area of continuous investment. So I'll stop there and probably just ask if there's any questions.
Have we got any questions for Babu?
I've got one.
Oh, thanks. We'll go to you, Mike.
Just in terms, you mentioned that with your Pinforce product, you've got 80% of local government and councils. What is the take-up in terms of mobile LPR and fixed camera LPR in terms of your market share and how many local councils, government are using mobile LPR and fixed LPR?
Mobile LPR is definitely if I look at it, less than 20% of councils are probably using mobile LPR. Right? There are known constraints to mobile LPR, and if you don't have an ecosystem that kind of works together, there are some challenges around that. We've specifically built our solutions so that they are in, court. We can stand up again in court against them, right? And so that's our method. And we've tailored our multimodal solution specifically around some changes that we've noticed in New South Wales. And so New South Wales moved away from allowing print and post to print and display. So that basically meant that if it wasn't court enforceable, it's very hard. So for us, we've specifically hardened our solution around enforceability. But the take up of we're seeing definitely more councils interested in mobile LPR. So there's definitely a greater interest. Obviously, there's the efficiency gains coming out of it. Each council is different and still. Far more people still walking and chalking than they're using vehicles.
And fixed?
Yeah, fixed is also less because again, there are certain use cases that fixed absolutely works for, and certain use cases that they don't. The span of view for fixed camera is 10, 20 vehicles, and if they're 90-degree parked, if they're not quite that way, then obviously there's constraints around that as well. So fixed cameras are there, but from an enforcement perspective, probably not as prevalent. We're seeing more fixed cameras in car park entry exit where you can actually see and define exactly where that route park is.
Sure, thank you.
Ari?
How accurate is your GPS coordinates for your mobile LPR to say it's in exactly the same position? What's the tolerance of you have for that?
Yeah, so this is one of the areas that we invested very heavily in. So what we've what we've done is using the same technology that's available in Formula One and in road races like Tour de France. They use a specific kind of technology that they build in for centimeter level accuracy. And we've had to do the same. So we've basically got a plug-in into our tech that allows us to do centimeter level accuracy. And we do that not just for detection, but also, as you can imagine, that a street will have a handful of 2P parking immediately going to an accessibility parking, immediately going to a no standing. So you've got that quick variation, and if you use just standard GPS, you're not going to be able to get to that level of accuracy. So what we've built in is that centimeter level accuracy.
I'm just thinking about the instinct of community to say, all right, so you're driving this vehicle around, what are you doing with the rest of the data? Because it's so much more than a static camera on the street pointing towards registration plates. What's your response, and what do you think council should look at when they respond to feedback like that?
Yeah, so again, we're conscious about where the vehicles are. These vehicles are in school zones and the like. So all of our camera tech is inbuilt with facial blurring technology. So we remove anything that could be identifiable. We've also built in technology so that it removes what we call noise reads, right? So it's really only looking at vehicle, and it's only looking at sign plates, right? So anything else, say stuff on the wall, details written on commercial windows, it blurs that. So we're very specific around that. But we also notice that councils are looking at this product now to look and think about, well, can I use this to understand the mobility and the turnover of vehicles in their area. So we see this not just being used for enforcement, but actually being used for understanding that the mobility aspect and surveillance.
Jen?
The barriers that you see around the mobile LPR and changes that are coming, what do you think is the biggest block of change, and how far away will it be to get over that adoption from
So I think there's a couple of different humps, right? So so that tendency of walking around with chalk, right? That's been around for decades. So to be able to say you don't need to walk in chalk, trust the camera, trust the GPS, trust the image quality, trust that there's a lot there, and hence we're trying to make sure that our council understand that, and they have that trust because we have that ability to be able to set up people. I think that's one element. And another element is, I've gone down this path. I know this route. I mean, we've got data that tells us that this is the best method to course. But when your data just things go, right? And things change in real time, weather conditions, an event at a stadium. These things all change. But I don't think people started to really attach those variances, and I guess that the tendency is to continue to do what they do. So we're trying to use that data to help inform how to change your enforcement behaviour depending on the circumstance of the risk.
Tony?
With regards to when you use the mobile apps, is that linked to the potentially body cams that the park attendants what they are using? So it doesn't rely upon what they see; it's actually taking it all in.
So that's a question that we get quite regularly. Currently not, right? So currently our technology is kind of built into the Pitforce, which is our camera tech or our mobile or fixed cameras. But theoretically, there's nothing stopping us being able to integrate into the body cam, so long as the body cam is able to do some kind of data export out to cloud. So theoretically, there's no restriction, but at the moment.
Great, I've got one. Multi-payment apps in cancel. We're seeing it obviously in Europe. Do you see it coming here?
Yeah. So I think it's beyond inevitable. We've already got our first, the one or two councils that have adopted a dual app kind of ecosystem, and I think that we're comfortable with that. We understand that let the market play itself out. For that to occur, it's incumbent on us to provide the best user experience, to provide a seamless payment capability, but also we see that forces players like us to make sure that PayStay is not just that payment at that point. There's got to be more to it for the citizen around there. So we're definitely seeing that's a trend. We'll probably see more of it, and it's that puts the onus back on us to keep our product at the peak.
Great. And did you know we won a New South Wales Transport Innovation Award for a street sign scanner? We'll have to compare notes. We obviously couldn't commercialise it, but we tried. I'd like to thank Babu for what a great presentation. Yeah.